Issue 16, Working Mom versus Non-Working Mom. A. I have a 2-year-old and a baby of 6 months. I decided to go back to work and pay my aunt to take care of the children. I made this decision for 2 reasons. Because I thought it in the best interest of the children and because I believed it would be better for me. For one thing, my job makes it possible for my children to have excellent health insurance. Anyone who doesn't have health insurance is in real danger. Second, I want my children to have the same quality education that I had. Do you have any idea what first-class schools cost today? Well, they are over $20,000 a year, not including room and board. I'm talking now. What do you think they will cost in 16 years? I don't want anyone looking at me funny because I choose not to stay home with my children. I'm a realist, and this is the real world.
B. A working mom should sit in a quiet corner for an hour or 2 and get her priorities straight. Her children grow a little every day, and before she knows it, they will be gone. When that happens, she can walk away from home and work all she wants. Eating red beans and rice will seem like filet mignon if she cooks for a family that loves her. The mended clothes will seem like robes of velvet and gold to her children because their mother made them. The old car will shine like a limousine if mom is taking the kids to the library or to the park. I believe the reason so many children are in bad shape today is because they haven't had adequate parental care. They haven't felt valued and loved. What in the world could be as important as being at home for your kids? When I hear women say they want a higher standard of living for their children, I ask myself, what does that really mean? A better neighborhood? Private schools? Better clothes? How important are those things?
C. Some women have to work. They need extra money or they're supporting their family on their own. Some women want to work. They love their families, but the daily domestic scene is not enough for them emotionally or psychologically. They prefer the challenge of the business or professional world. Good for them. Some women prefer to stay home. They enjoy housekeeping, cooking, and being a full-time mother. This is very hard work, but they find it fulfilling. Good for them. Not all women who work outside the home are pampered executives with painted fingernails, designer clothes, neglected husbands, and latchkey kids. Neither are all housewives brainless, frumpy women who walk around in their housecoats and curlers saying, "Yes, dear," to their husbands and yelling at their kids. We are all free to choose what we want to be. Be grateful. Most of our mothers and grandmothers didn't have a choice. Hooray for the stay-at-home woman! Hooray for the career woman! Do as you please, but don't belittle the woman who chooses the other road.
Comprehension. A. 1. What made the woman decide to go back to work? 2. What does her job allow her children to have? 3. What does the writer think the top priority is for her children? B. 1. When does the writer think is the right time for moms to go to work? 2. Why are children today in such bad shape? 3. Does the writer think a higher living standard is important? C. 1. Why do some women work? 2. Why do some women prefer to stay at home? 3. What do many people think about career women? 4. What do many people think about stay-at-home women?
Let's talk. One. Would you prefer being a career woman or a housewife? Why? 2. Do you want your wife to have an outside job? 3. If your husband were against your having a job, what would you do? 4. If you had young children, would you give up your job, at least temporarily? 5. Do you think a career woman has more likelihood of divorce? 6. Do you think women are discriminated against in the job market, especially if they are pregnant? 7. Is it true that stay-at-home moms are looked down at in society compared with career women? Why or why not?
Opinion samples. 1. I'm angry because mothers who stay home are looked down upon, while working moms are praised and respected. I know too many working mothers who live in luxurious homes, have a BMW in the driveway and a swimming pool in the backyard, and take European vacations. Meanwhile, they're paying strangers to look after their kids. Let's get back to raising our own families, wearing less expensive clothes, driving economical cars, and doing what women were meant to do, being homemakers and full-time mothers. I wouldn't dream of giving the responsibility and fun of raising my children to anyone else. It's the most fulfilling and rewarding job in the world. Question: which role is more important for women, raising children or making money?
2. In my opinion, wives should manage to live on what their husbands earn because a career woman is potentially a good candidate for divorce. When a woman becomes financially independent, she neglects her husband and children, and her marriage falls apart. Marriages were much healthier when women stayed home and took care of their husbands and raised their own kids. Question: do you think the speaker is old-fashioned or an accurate observer of humankind? Issue 16. Working mom versus non-working mom.
You look beat.
I am. Holding down a full-time job and taking care of my kids at the same time is tough work.
Why don't you quit your job?
What do you mean?
Well, you can't give up your children, so why don't you stop working instead?
Tired as I am, I've never really seriously considered doing that.
Why not?
Well, for one thing, our family needs the money. Lots of unexpected expenses have plagued us lately, really eating into our savings. We even had to borrow some money from relatives.
I can understand the pressure to work now, then, but the crisis will pass, you know. Why don't you quit when things return to normal?
Aside from the money, I don't want to be cooped up indoors all day doing nothing. I enjoy my work. I like the people I deal with, and it is never boring.
But what about your children? Shouldn't you spend more time with them?
Now that they are all in school, probably not. They leave early in the morning, the same time I do, and I get back just a little later than they do. The only real problem is if somebody's sick. Then I usually have to call in and report that I'll be absent. Fortunately, this seldom happens.
But don't you just take your work home with you? Even when you're with your children at night, do you really spend any quality time with them?
I hardly ever have anything to do after I leave the office. Once in a while maybe, but I do it after the kids are in bed.
But then you just have an even longer day, and you get even more tired.
Sure, once in a while, but it's not a regular occurrence.
What would you do if you had to finish your work at home on most days? Would you quit then?
I don't know. I've never thought about it. If that happened, and it was a temporary situation, I don't think it would make any difference. If it were permanent or long-term, I might consider quitting. But even then, I'd just look for another job somewhere else.
So you have no intention to stop working?
No, absolutely not. I don't know what I'd do with myself if I didn't have some kind of job to go to every day. It's addicting.
That's what smokers and alcoholics say too.
Maybe I'm a workaholic, but I like to keep busy.
Questions. 1. Why doesn't she stop working? Give several answers. 2. How has her life changed recently? How might it change? 3. In what way is working like a drug dependency?